With the Venmo debit card, you can Venmo everything. Your favorite band's merch? You can Venmo this. Or their next show? You can Venmo that. Visit Venmo.me/debit to learn more. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. pursuant to license by MasterCard International Incorporated. The card may be used everywhere MasterCard is accepted. Venmo purchase restrictions apply.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold! Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
This episode is brought to you by Polestar. There's only one true way to experience the all-electric luxury SUV Polestar 3, and that's to take a test drive. It can go from 0 to 60 in as little as 4.8 seconds with the dynamic handling of a sports car. But to truly understand how it commands the road, you need to be behind the wheel. Up to 350 miles of range, the 3D surround sound system by Bowers & Wilkins. It's all something you have to experience to believe. So book your test drive for Polestar 3 today at polestar.com.
If you went on a road trip and you didn't stop for a Big Mac or drop a crispy fry between the car seats or use your McDonald's bag as a placemat, then that wasn't a road trip. It was just a really long drive. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
At participating McDonald's.
Hey business owners, we know you know the importance of maximizing every dollar. With the Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business American Express card, you can make your expenses work just as hard as you. From afternoon coffee runs to stocking office supplies and even team dinners, you can earn miles on all your business expenses. Plus, you can earn 110,000 bonus miles for a limited time through July 16th. The Delta SkyMiles Reserve Business Card. If you travel, you know. Minimum spending requirements and terms apply. Offer ends 7/16/25.
Welcome to the HCI family of podcasts. We're your source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We share our own original research, explore industry trends, and interview executives and thought leaders from across the globe. Join us for practitioner-oriented content around all things leadership, HR, talent management, organizational development, and change management. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with the HCI family of podcasts. Dennis Holland, welcome to the conversation today.
I'm glad to be here, John.
It is a pleasure to be with you. You're joining us from Dallas, Texas. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah. And today we're going to be talking about psychological safety and creating healthy workplace relationships, a really important topic. I actually think about psychological safety all the time and the development of trust within the workplace. I mean, that's something that I think my wife can tell you. I think about this all the time, and I probably come home and kind of complain about this quite often to my wife as I think about my workplace. I'm a professor, so the university, I'm like, oh, we need more trust at the university. But also when I'm doing consulting work with other organizations, I'm like, the crux of so many problems for so many organizations is this problem.
Absolutely.
So I'm excited to unpack this and explore this with you today. As we get started, I wanted to share your bio with everybody. As CEO, Dennis is leading Quantum Connections into a new era of innovation, expansion, and transformation, leveraging the organization's 40-year history of clinical innovations and philanthropic successes. He is charting an exciting path of sustainable growth through the delivery of transformative relational competency programs to new markets, including corporations and nonprofits, as well as educational, government, and faith-based institutions around the world. Dennis's reputation for changing brand discussions from challenge to opportunity is met with his consistent success at driving remarkable market growth and thought leadership outcomes for numerous companies on a global scale. And Dennis, I could go on. There's so much about your background, your career that I think is really, really impressive, but I'm going to pause there. Anything else you would like to highlight by way of your background or personal context before we dive on in further?
Yeah, there are actually two things. So first of all, I love having my bio read. I feel so important. But I think a big part of my background is I have either worked in helped companies when they were looking to open and create new markets, or when they have been in situations of trouble, and they needed somebody to help them reinvent themselves and solve
Mhm.
challenging problems. And so what's so fascinating is I'm now at a company running Quantum Connections where my goal is to open new markets for a new product offering that
Mhm.
helps people overcome really big challenges in the marketplace. And I love your comments earlier about you thinking about this all the time, because when it comes down to it, it is the interpersonal relationship between one person and another that can either guide an organization towards success or cause it to continue to flounder. And that's really what we focus on is helping companies overcome those challenges. So just a little bit, and then the second thing I really wanted to say is my bio does reference 40 years of work. We are here because of two of the world's most renowned relationship experts, Dr. Harville Hendricks and Dr. Helen LaKelly Hunt. And the both of them were authors of a book called Getting the Love You Want, which went on Oprah's book list, became a New York Times
Mhm.
bestseller. And if anybody wants to really understand the impact of Dr. Hendricks, look on any website where she says he's probably one of the best. He is the best relationship expert she has ever encountered. So I'm not speaking for Oprah. I'm merely referring people to her websites, but we have a rich history of what we're doing, why we're doing it, and the impact that it provides. Because in a couples environment, these two relationship experts have helped hundreds of thousands of people. My job now is to take what they've done and bring it out into a new environment, and that's the business workplace. So those are two things that I think are really interesting for people to know.
Yeah, well, thank you. I love that background. It's always really great to know a little bit more of the background and history of these organizations, how they came to be,
Yeah.
and to know about the great work of these individuals is fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, as we dive on in, let's level set here and start by defining and exploring this concept of psychological safety. Now, this is a concept we've talked about on the podcast before, but perhaps for anyone in the audience who hasn't caught some of those previous episodes, describe in your own words this concept of psychological safety in the workplace.
Psychological safety in the workplace is absolutely critical anymore, because the workplace is where most of us spend a bulk of our time.
Yeah.
And therefore, it becomes very important that the place where we go to work and the people that we work with, that we are in a level of connection with them that can provide the positive outcomes that the company is looking to achieve. And in 2017 or 2018, Dr. Perry Goya described an environment in which employees believe the best in each other and inspire each other to perform at their best. And something I actually have on a plaque in my office is from Robert Sutton. And since I'm not in my office, I'm in a conference room, I printed it off. But psychological safety is the key to creating a workplace where people can be confident enough to act without undue fear of being ridiculed, punished, or fired. Also be humble enough to openly doubt what is actually being believed by the organization and accomplished by the organization. And those are general concepts in the marketplace of what people think about psychological safety. We believe psychological safety is required in order for people to be in strong, positive, and connected relationships with those around them as leaders, as peers, as team members. And what we have identified, and this is consistent with a lot of research that has also been conducted, Google Aristotle research, the US Surgeon General research on mental health and well-being in the workplace, is that there are fundamental elements necessary to have psychological safety. And two of those are, you have to allow people to feel seen and heard.
Yeah.
And even as children, it was critical to us to feel seen and heard by our parents. And that continues as we go through life. So these two words, seen and heard, form the foundation for what we do. We believe it creates the foundation for positive, productive, and meaningful results in an organization, because when we feel seen and heard, we actually become more collaborative and creative beings. We are much more willing to take interpersonal risks, not crazy risks.
Yeah.
But we're willing to step out. We're willing to take risks and present our true selves in the work environment. And psychological safety, where we feel seen and heard, and as a result of that, we see and hear others because we are in a connected relationship. We're much more capable and willing to handle conflict resolution. So
Yeah. So if I can just restate a little bit, or
yes.
maybe let me say what psychological safety is not, based on what you're just saying. Psychological safety is not permission to be a jerk.
Right.
It's not
Right.
permission to just go and say anything that comes to your mind off the top of your head. So sometimes I hear people say stuff like that. They're like, I need to be allowed to say whatever I want, whenever I want, to whoever I want. That's not what we're talking about at all. Like, there's still a social filter. you still need to be, there's still social context, right? And there's still like social norms, and you need to be polite, and you need to be aware of like other people's feelings and those sorts of things, right? You still are interacting with other human beings, for goodness sakes. But what you're talking about is like, if I'm in a group setting and my leader comes and says something and I have concerns about it, I need to be empowered and feel safe that I can push back. Like, I can speak up, raise my hand and say, here's my concern, and this is why I feel that way, and that we should think about this. I need to be able to say that, and it's to the benefit of the group and to my leader to be able to have that environment where someone can say that. Because if I don't say that, guess what? It's probably going to cause problems for everybody, because something bad is going to happen, because that, whatever that problem, I'm the frontline employee, and whatever I don't share eventually may happen. And it's because I didn't share it, because the environment was such that I didn't feel safe to share it.
Right. I love what you're saying, because that is, when it comes down to it, what we do is we provide people with tools and skills in order to take those types of situations and turn them into productive opportunities, positive, productive opportunities. And you're going to have negativity in the workplace. Yes, you are. So, but you can't just tamp out negativity and say, we will not be negative. What you have to do is you have to help people reframe that negativity and turn that into an opportunity to be positive. But that takes skills. We have to be able to be in conversation where, if someone gives an opinion, we have to be open and willing to see it from their perspective and let them know that it's okay to have that perspective, but it doesn't mean that we have to agree. John, we're working on a platform right now, especially in our environment today, and I don't want to necessarily go down that path, but it's, how do you handle political conflict in the work environment now? This is not a license to just share, just give every opinion and thought that you have, because the whole workplace could crumble at that point, and we don't want that. What needs to happen is you have these concepts like psychological safety that are so big, but people don't necessarily know how to operationalize that in a workplace, to give people a structure, to take what to take what's in themselves, to share that with people, and then to turn that into something productive and positive for the organization. And that is what I say a lot about what is lacking in this space is people talk about large concepts like, well, we just ought to respect each other. First question is, how do you do that? And what people need is they need a structured way of helping people through that. And we believe that there is a way to move beyond that to a point where we can foster those positive interconnected relationships in a way that helps team members perform at their peak so that the teams perform at peak performance, and working all the way to how does that then create employee engagement, higher employee productivity, and higher retention. And so the challenge of talking about something like psychological safety, it is so large, but we have operationalized the model to bring this down into a practical application so that people know, okay, this is how we need to be in interaction with one another. And when you have that, you have tremendous opportunities to improve your workplace culture, the relationships between people, and actually the performance of the business.
Yeah. So to summarize a little bit, so if you create this psychologically safe environment,
right,
where there's mutual accountability and trust, and people feel safe, to share with each other, even when it's a little bit uncomfortable. And in fact, people feel encouraged to share, even if it's a little bit uncomfortable. Those trusting relationships you can't have strong interpersonal connections without trust, right? Relationships are based on trust. So without that trust, you're not going to have stronger collaborative relationships. So when you start to build that trust, you have stronger relationships. Those stronger relationships lead to higher levels of just productivity, engagement, greater levels of creativity and innovation. Like there's just a lot of strong positive outcomes for organizations. Lots of research to back this up, by the way. So it's not just all the warm fuzzies. Like we all want, from a human perspective, we want the workplace to be safe, psychologically safe. We want it to be a positive environment. We want to have people we like to be around at work. Like there's all these positive, like human things, but there's also a lot of positive bottom line things, benefits to the organization that really are positive. Even if you're like a cold, rock for a heart, executive, it's going to be really, really beneficial. Maybe we can spend some of the rest of our time talking about some specific examples of organizations that have been able to implement some strategies to improve their workplace culture around creating this type of psychological safety. Can you share some of those with us?
Yes, I sure can. And because we have, in our work, we have worked with organizations that range from large financial institutions to nonprofits, to governmental organizations now. We help them to understand what the basis of psychological safety is, that feeling of being seen and heard. And I honestly, John, what you and I are doing together right here is we're operating in a dialogical way, where often what we do and what we were raised to do is we talk at people.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we are pretending to listen, all we're doing is hearing this person talk at us, and we're filtering it in our mind to figure out, how am I going to react or respond to this? So basically, you lose what it is they're saying. And so that's fundamental to building that trust, is that structured way of being in communication and in connection with people. And we can go into depth about that. But as far as success stories and examples, we've worked with a large financial services firm recently, and we had the CEO. We were in a lot of discussions with the CEO, and she's an absolutely incredible leader. And what she did was, she had two very large departments, and you can imagine in a financial institution what these departments might be. And they were constantly in conflict. Well, here is the way we do things. Here are the guidelines for how we need to operate in this space, and you must abide by these guidelines. Well, we need to work with our customers, and we have to have a little flexibility, and we need to be able to do. And so we provided the tools, the methodologies, and the skills for these two team members to learn how to be in interaction with one another, to be in connection with another. And honestly, what has resulted from that is, and she will tell me, that what happens now is they have learned how to slow the conversation down a little bit between one another. And slowing down doesn't mean being less productive. What it means is they actually take the time to share with one another their perspectives, to mirror back what they're hearing, to be curious about what they're both talking about, so that they have a better vehicle, a better means to build a connected relationship that actually ends up serving both the organization and the customer that they're trying to win. And so she believes that what we have brought, and again, I don't want to talk about me, but the process of doing that, to building that type of relationship, built upon dialogue, built upon a dialogue where we don't shout at each other, but we actually learn how to go back and forth in a structured way, that has significantly helped her two key departments to better serve not only each other, but to serve the customers. We're working with a major manufacturing organization, a global manufacturing organization, and they're implementing this from a completely different perspective, where they have this large group of people that they have tagged as being up and coming leaders in the organization, but they come to that point without necessarily having led people before. So these young people get in and they're like, oh, I'm going to go at my job. I'm going to build on my competencies, and I'm going to do what I do. When realizing what we do is we help them realize, no, your competencies are absolutely why you've been placed in this new leader role. But the most important thing is, you have to understand there's a person on the other side of that. And you have to come at that person with an open mind, with curiosity, with an ability to engage them in a way that they have not been engaged, which creates that connected relationship, which is essentially that trust that you described earlier. And they become more collaborative. They again, slowing down a little bit to focus on what's truly important. And it is that interpersonal one-to-one relationship. And when you build those interpersonal one-to-one relationships, and you do it in a one-to-one, you model it in a one-to-one environment, but then it becomes the way your team acts. Therefore, it becomes the way that the company starts to behave. And when the company starts to behave that way, we are now in a position to show that company what that means to them from a bottom line performance level. And that's very exciting because it can be viewed as a soft skill to do these kinds of things. But when you can translate that soft skill into actual data that shows this is what this means to your organization, that's really where we are as a company. And we're really excited about some of the things that we're doing.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love those examples. I think those are really well stated and give the audience just a great perspective on this. Dennis, this has just been a real pleasure. I note the time, which just flew by. I'm going to need to let you go here in just a minute. Before we wrap things up, though, I want to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, find out more about your work, your team, and then give us the final word on the topic for today.
They can reach me via email, and that is DS Holland. D is in Dennis, S is in Scott, Holland, HOLLAND @quantumconnections.com. And they can go to our website, quantumconnections.com. All sorts of avenues. But I am driven right now to connect with as many people as possible because we offer something truly valuable. And the final thing, did that sound okay as a way of connecting? Is that okay?
That's perfect.
And then my final word, and this is something that that we will formally launch in the November timeframe. We have invented an innovative way of drawing a direct correlation between the level of psychological safety in a company environment and the correlation between that score and the impact it will have on employee engagement, employee productivity, and employee retention. And we have done this through a new metric that is based on a 10,000 person sample broken out into 24 industry segments to where we can help you build those relationships, but we can actually help you measure what the impact, measure the impact of those connected relationships based on psychological safety on the key performance indicators of your company. And it is a new landmark research initiative that I think is really going to change the game, moving this from a soft skill to something that CEOs can go, wow, I get it. So we're real excited about that. More to come in November.
That is awesome. Dennis, thank you so much. I encourage the audience to reach out, get connected, find out more about what Dennis and his team can do for you. Check out the many resources with his company and stay tuned for this wonderful new tool. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week. Thanks for joining us for this episode of the podcast. We hope you stay healthy and safe, and please join us again soon.